first time I saw my daughter walk into that layaway office, she looked like she was carrying every bill she'd ever paid on her shoulders. And the funny thing is, she wasn't even the one who needed the help. I was. Not just with money, though Lord knows that would have been nice, but with learning when to stop trying to save everybody and let somebody save themselves. Or, as it turned out, let a stranger do it. You think you know how your life is gonna go. You raise your kids, you love your husband, you pay your mortgage and your light bill, and the occasional $9.99 a month subscription you forgot you signed up for. And you assume the hard parts are gonna be the big things: hospital stays, funerals, lawsuits, whatever makes the 6 o'clock news. Turns out, some of the hardest parts happen under fluorescent lights in a discount store, standing behind a counter smudged with fingerprints, while a girl with a name tag tells you, "Ma'am, you don't owe us nothing." But I'm getting ahead of myself. You want the beginning. The beginning of this particular story was August. The kind of August where the air sticks to your skin and the back-to-school sales start showing up before you've even thought about cleaning out last year's backpacks. Daughter Denise had just gotten off the phone with her ex-husband. When she hung up, she marched straight into my kitchen and threw her cell on the table like it had personally insulted her. "He's cut my child support again," she said, breathing hard. "Says his hours got reduced. Says he can't afford what the court decided. Like I can afford groceries on what they decided either." I was standing at the stove stirring spaghetti sauce. The smell of garlic and tomatoes filled the room, cozy and familiar. I'd learned a long time ago that the more I could make my kitchen smell like something good, the better the chances my family would feel safe enough to fall apart in it. "Sit," I said, nodding toward a chair. "Tell me what he said before I decide whether I'm praying for him or against him." She dropped into the chair, elbows on the table, hands on her forehead like she was holding her brain in. "He says he'll make it up when things get better," she said. "Says I'm overreacting when I say I can't do this. Like he's not the one who walks down the cereal aisle putting things back because the kids want the box with the cartoon character and we can't afford $5 of sugar." Her voice broke on that last part. I turned the burner down and leaned on the counter. "How short are you?" I asked. She huffed. Short, she said. "Rent, power, food, school supplies, all due at once. I've got enough to keep the lights on and some basic groceries if I stretch it. But new shoes for both kids, book fees, that optional field trip, they'll be the only ones missing if I say no. I can't print money, Mama." My heart clenched. I'd watched my own mama juggle bills. I'd taken my kids school shopping with a list and a calculator. I knew that not. "You talked to the school?" I asked. "Sometimes they got funds for fees." She nodded. "They helped with some," she said. "I hate asking. I feel like I'm standing in front of the whole town saying, 'Look, I messed up my life. Please help my kids not pay for it.'" "You didn't mess up your life," I said automatically. "You married a man who turned out to be less of a partner than you deserved. That happens. It's not a moral failure. It's poor quality control on his part." She smiled a little. "Still feels like I failed," she said softly. "I wanted to fix it. That's my default. Mama June, fixer of all things. I wanted to reach for my checkbook. I wanted to say, 'I got you. I'll cover it all. You don't worry about a thing.' But my bank account had seen better days too. Widowhood will do that. Between the funeral and the medical bills, and the way grief makes you buy things you don't need just to feel like you're doing something, new curtains, extra candles, fancy coffee, I wasn't exactly flush. I could help some, not all. And if there's anything I hate, it's not being able to give my kids the world when they need a postage stamp. "We'll figure it out," I said, because that's what mamas say when the math doesn't math, but love won't shut up about it. Her eyes filled. "I don't want them to feel it," she whispered. "The lack. I remember what it felt like when Dad got laid off and you had that clipboard with the bills on it. I could tell when you were in don't ask for anything mode. I swore my kids would never see that face on me. I remembered that clipboard. I remembered that face. Maybe you need a new clipboard," I said. "One that has a spot for help from other people." She snorted. "I hate asking," she repeated. "Maybe you don't have to," I said, the words out of my mouth before my brain caught up. She looked at me. "What do you mean?" she asked. I thought of something I'd seen on the news. Story about a man who'd gone into a Walmart and paid off a whole slew of layaway balances. They'd called him a layaway angel. People cried on camera talking about the relief. Kids jumped around like it was already Christmas. I'd watched it from my recliner thinking, that's sweet. That happened somewhere else. Not here. Now I pictured Denise in that video. "I mean," I said slowly, "maybe you make a list of what the kids need. You go to the store. You put it on layaway. You chip away at it. Let time help you a little. And look, I'm not saying this is a plan, but sometimes people do kind things. Quietly, especially near holidays. You might get lucky." She rolled her eyes. "Mama, this is back to school, not Christmas," she said. "Ain't nobody out here playing Secret Santa with spiral notebooks and sneakers." "Maybe they should," I said. "Besides, it's not about the stranger. It's about you buying yourself some time." She chewed her lip. "I hate the idea of my kids' school clothes being a maybe," she said, "like a wish." "Better a maybe than a no," I said. She sighed. "I'll think about it," she said, which in Denise speak meant, "I don't like this, but I know you're right." We ate our spaghetti and talked about other things. But a few days later, I got a text. Pic of a layaway ticket, crumpled but legible. "Mama, I did it. $287.43. Back to school stuff. Due by Sept 1. Pray my car doesn't die before then." My heart squeezed. I stared at that number. $287.43. Not a fortune. But when you're hanging onto your budget by your fingernails, it might as well be a down payment on the moon. I typed back, "We'll get there. One bite at a time. Like eating a big all biscuit. Proud of you for trying." I didn't tell her I'd already started thinking about what I could cut from my own budget. Cable, maybe. Extra coffee. Never. We'd find a way. Or so I told myself. I didn't know there was someone else in our town already circling that layaway list with a pen we couldn't see. The weeks between August and September passed slow and fast at the same time. Slow, because every time I opened my online banking app, it felt like watching molasses drip uphill. Fast, because life doesn't stop for layaway. The kids went back to school in their old shoes, promise of new ones hanging over them like a carrot. Denise picked up extra hours at the clinic, working late shifts that left her eyes looking like they'd been rubbed with sandpaper. I babysat when I could. We crossed days off the calendar. Every few days, she'd stop by the store on her way home to throw $20 at the balance. "I got it down to $247, she'd say, tossing her layaway receipt on my counter like a badge. Then $219. Then $183. We celebrated each smaller number like it was a touchdown. But life doesn't care about your countdown. In mid-September, Denise's car made a noise that sounded like a raccoon in a blender and died in the Kroger parking lot. She called me, nearly hysterical. "Mechanic says it's the transmission," she said. "I don't even know what that is. I just know it's more than I got." I drove over, sat in the hot car with her while we waited for the tow truck. We did the math out loud. Transmission, a whole bunch of money. Layaway, still over 150. Bills, unmoving, paychecks already spoken for. "Mama, I can't do it," she said, tears spilling. "I can't pay everything. I can't even pretend anymore. I gotta cancel the layaway." I'll go Monday and tell him to put it all back on the shelves. The idea of her walking into that store and telling that layaway clerk I failed made my chest hurt. Maybe they'll give you more time, I said. She shook her head. Even if they do, the car ate every extra cent, she said. There's no later money, it's gone. I wanted to scream. At the car, at her ex, at the universe, at God. Instead, I squeezed her hand. We will get these kids what they need, I said. New doesn't always mean store new. We can hit consignment shops, church closet. I got friends with grandkids. We will piece it together. Her face crumpled. I just wanted one thing that didn't feel like scrapping, she whispered. I wanted to walk out of there with big bags and feel like I'd done something right. I closed my eyes. I remembered that feeling. I remembered the first time I bought all 3 of my kids' brand new winter coats from the department store instead of hand-me-downs. How I'd stood in the parking lot and cried from pride, clutching those bags like trophies. I wanted that for her. I wanted it so bad my teeth ached. After the car got towed, I went home, sat at my kitchen table with my own bills spread out, and thought about Layaway. I thought about how it was supposed to be a bridge between not yet and never. I thought about how sometimes that bridge collapses halfway. And I thought again about those stories on the news, about layaway angels, people walking into a store, asking to see the balances, paying them off like they were buying groceries. I didn't know anybody with that kind of money. Barely knew anybody with enough cushion to buy extra name brand cereal, much less $287 worth of strangers' dreams. But I did know one thing. If there was any chance Denise's layaway might be one of the ones that got chosen by some mysterious donor, canceling it before the deadline would slam that door shut. You can't win the raffle if you throw away your ticket, my daddy used to say. I pulled out my flip phone and called Denise. Baby, I said when she answered, voice thick from crying. Do not cancel that layaway yet. Mama, she began. Give it 1 more week, I said. If it still doesn't make sense, if you still can't pay, then you go in and do what you have to do. But don't decide from a place of panic. Decide from a place of breath, she sniffled. I don't want to owe anybody, she said. Right now you owe yourself a little hope, I replied. Let that be the only thing for a week. She was quiet. Okay, she said finally. 1 week. 1 week, I repeated. We hung up. I sat there, alone in my kitchen, and did something I hadn't done in a while. I prayed. Not the fancy prayers you hear in church, with all the right phrases. Just a tired woman with sauce stains on her shirt and bills on her table, talking out loud. Lord, I said, I know you ain't a vending machine. I know you're not Santa Claus. I know there are more important things going on in this world than my grandbaby's shoes. But I also know you care about little things, because you made them. If there is any way at all for you to slip some mercy into that layaway office, I'm asking you to do it. And if not, then at least give me the creativity to dig through every thrift store in a 20-mile radius and find what we need. I wiped my eyes, turned on the TV, and tried not to think about the calendar on the fridge. 3 days till the deadline. 4, 5. I baked more than usual that week. My hands are busy, my mind is quieter. I sent Denise home with banana bread and casseroles. Quit feeding me, she said. You're not made of food. My pantry is, I replied. And I can't pay your layaway, but I can make sure you don't starve while we figure things out. She shook her head, smiled tiredly, kissed my cheek. You're ridiculous, she said. I'm resourceful, I corrected. On the 6th day, my phone rang just as I was about to take a pan of cornbread out the oven. It was Denise. Voice sounded strange. Mama, she said, my heart dropped. What's wrong? I asked, oven mitt still on my hand. I got a call from the store, she said. I grabbed the back of a chair. About the layaway, I asked. She laughed, a sort of half sob. Yes, she said. They told me to come get it. My stomach twisted. You found the money? I asked, a little too hopeful. No, she said. That's the thing. They said it's paid. The kitchen blurred. What? I whispered. They said it's paid, she repeated. All of it, zero balance. Someone came in and paid my layaway. Silence. Well, I said after a beat, that's one way to answer a prayer. She laughed again, still shaky. I thought it was a scam, she said. I thought it was some kind of promotional trick. But I called back, asked for the layaway office directly, gave them my name and ticket number. The woman on the phone said, Yes, ma'am, it's you. Someone came in yesterday and paid off several layaways, including yours. You can pick up your items anytime. I sat down hard. Mama, she said, some stranger just bought my kids' school clothes. Tears spilled down my face. No, I said softly. Some stranger just gave you your breath back. The clothes are extra, she sniffled. I'm going now, she said, to get 'em. Will you come with me? Do you even have to ask? I said. I turned off the oven, grabbed my purse, and drove to the store. The layaway office was in the back, tucked between the toys and the hardware, window clouded with fingerprints and old notices. A sign on the door said layaway pickup ring bell. Denise looked like she was about to walk into court. 2 kids in hand-me-down t-shirts clung to her sides, eyes wide. My grandson, Tyler, bounced on his heels. Is this where we get the shoes, Mama? He asked. His sister, Mia, looked up at her mother carefully, like she was gauging how much hope she was allowed. We're gonna see, Denise said. Don't get too excited yet. I wanted to smack that sentence out of the air. Too excited had been my kid's default setting for too long. I pressed the bell. A woman in a vest came to the little window, slid it open with a squeak. Can I help y'all? She asked. Denise swallowed. I got a call, she said, fumbling with her folded receipt. About my layaway. They said it was paid. I just wanted to make sure. The clerk smiled. Your last name, hun? She asked. Denise told her. The woman tapped at a computer, squinting. She said. That's you right there. She turned the screen slightly. I saw Denise's name. Total $287.43. Paid $287.43. Balance $0. Paid by Anonymous. My throat closed. The clerk grinned wider. Yep, she said. You're one of the blessed ones. Denise blinked. The blessed ones, she repeated. Woman nodded. Man came in yesterday, she said. Middle-aged, baseball cap, regular jeans. Said he wanted to pay on some layaways. I assumed he meant his own. He said, No, ma'am. I want to pay as many as I can for other people. She chuckled. I thought he was jockin' at first, she said. We get folks flirtin' with good deeds near Christmas sometimes. But he pulled out his card and told me to start from the smallest balances and work my way up till it declined. My eyes filled. And you picked mine? Denise asked, voice small. We didn't pick sugar, the clerk said gently. It was just the order in the system. But it got to yours. I read your list too. 2 pairs of shoes, 2 backpacks, some jeans, some shirts, socks, no toys, no nonsense. Just what your babies needed. That man smiled when he saw it. You told him? I asked. She shook her head. No names, she said. Privacy and all. But he saw the ages, the items. He said, that one for sure. I put my hand over my mouth. I pictured him. Some guy in a cap, maybe fresh off a shift at the plant, maybe retired, maybe someone I'd driven past 100 times and never saw. Walking up to that window and saying, I'd like to pay off other people's worry, please. And the computer screen responding with numbers that were really stories. Bills, breakdowns, broken hearts, babies. He'd never know whose lives he touched. He'd just walk away, receipt in his pocket. Maybe go home to his own family or his own empty house, feeling like he'd spent his money where it mattered. The clerk disappeared into the back, then came out pushing a cart loaded with 2 big plastic tubs full of clothes and supplies. The kids lunged toward the sneakers. "Those are my shoes," Tyler crowed, snatching up the box with the neon laces. "And that's my unicorn backpack," Mia squealed. Denise's knees buckled. She sank onto a little plastic chair, hands over her face. "Mama," she whispered, I can't believe this." I sat beside her, rubbing her back like I had when she was 5, and scraped a knee. "Believe it," I said softly, "and let it in." She shook her head, tears spillin'. "I don't deserve this," she said. "I messed up the money. I married the wrong man." Stop," I said sharply. She looked at me, startled. "You don't earn kindness," I said. "You receive it." That man didn't look at your bank statements. He didn't sit in judgment over your life choices. He saw a list and a balance and thought, "I can lift that, let him." She cried harder. The clerk handed her a tissue through the little slot. "Just so you know," she said, "you're not the only one. We had 3 other mamas come in this morning crying like you. Couple of grandparents, too. You are very much in good company." Denise wiped her face. "Can I leave a message?" she asked. "For him?" "I know you don't know his name," but the clerk smiled. "We got a little board over there," she said, nodding toward the wall. "People been pinning up notes. I'm gonna mail a copy of them to the corporate office. Maybe they'll share it somehow. Maybe he'll see it. Even if he doesn't, it'll exist. That's something." We went to the board. Scraps of paper, index cards, sticky notes, all pinned up with push pins. "Thank you, whoever you are. You made my kids' Christmas. My husband died this year. Gave us a bright spot. From a grandma who couldn't afford much, God bless you." Denise took a pen. She wrote, hand shaken, "To whoever paid my layaway, you didn't just buy shoes. You gave me permission to breathe again. I promise I'll pass it on when I can. Love, a grateful mama." She pinned it up. Then she turned to me. "I want to know who he is," she said. "I want to hug him. I want to make him a casserole for the next 10 years. I smiled. "Maybe you will," I said. "Maybe you won't. But you can hug every man in a baseball cap at the gas station for the next month if it'll make you feel better." She laughed through tears. We loaded the tubs into my car. The kids chattered in the back seat, pulling tags off shirts, talking about showing their friends. On the way home, Denise stared out the window, quiet. "Penny for your thoughts," I said. She snorted. "They're worth at least $1 now," she said. Then she sighed. "I'm thinking about Dad," she admitted. "About how he used to say, 'Don't count on other people to rescue you. You gotta stand on your own 2 feet.' He wasn't wrong," I said. "But he also wasn't the whole truth." She nodded. "I'm thinking maybe that's why it's so hard for me to accept help," she said. "Feels like failure, like I broke the rules. But that man, he didn't look at me and see failure. He saw a chance." Her eyes filled again. "I've spent so much of my life feeling like I have to make up for things," she said. "For choosing the wrong partner, for not earning enough, for giving my kids a broken home. This is the first time in a long time I've felt covered." I swallowed. "That's what grace is," I said. "That feeling right there. The I know I didn't earn this, but here it is anyway." She let out a slow breath. "I want to be that for somebody someday," she said. "You will," I replied. "Probably in a way you can't see yet. You'd think that would be the end. Layaway paid. Happy kids. Grateful mama. Mystery angel drives off into the sunset." But that moment at the layaway window was just the middle. The ending took longer, because money was only half the story. The other half was how that stranger's kindness messed with my daughter's idea of herself, and mine. The next few weeks, Denise walked a little different. Not like suddenly everything was easy. The transmission was still expensive. Her ex was still difficult. The medicine for Tyler's asthma still cost more than it should. But there was a lightness to her that hadn't been there before. She didn't flinch as much when the kids asked for things. She didn't sting as bad when her bank account went below the number she liked. She started saying things like, we'll figure it out, instead of, we can't. One night over dinner, she said, "You know, Mama, for the first time I'm thinking, maybe I'm not doomed to always be the one who needs rescuing. Maybe I could get my money straight and be somebody else's layaway angel someday. And if it's just $50, even if it's just one family." I raised my fork in a mock toast. "To your inner angel," I said. She clinked her water glass against it. A few days later, news of the layaway angel hit our local Facebook group. Somebody posted a blurry photo of the store entrance with a caption, "Y'all, someone came in and paid off a bunch of layaways at store name. Employees say he wants to stay anonymous. Whoever you are, thank you." The comments flooded in. Mine got paid. I'm still crying. Ours too. Single mama here, whoever you are, I'm praying for you. We need more people like this in the world. I hope he's blessed tenfold. I wish I had that kind of money. I think I saw him blue truck, ball cap, kind eyes. Pretty sure it was insert local businessman's name. He does stuff like this. No, y'all, I heard it was a church group. Stop guessing and just say thank you. I read each comment like it was finding puzzle pieces. Everybody wanted to know who. Everybody wanted to assign a motive. Everybody wanted to believe they lived in a town where things like this still happened. I didn't comment. I just sat there on my couch thinking about how the man in the ball cap had no idea he'd done more than clear a ledger. He'd cracked something open in my family. And not everybody was thrilled about that. Because when one person starts believing in help, it shines a spotlight on the people who have been refusing to ask for it. My son David did not like that spotlight. David had always been the I got it kid. I got it, Mama, when he was 8 carrying all the grocery bags at once. I got it, Mama, when he was 16 trying to fix his own car with duct tape. I got it, Mama, when he was 25 insisting he didn't need advice about his marriage. He was the one who'd fought me about the house deed, the one who tried to manage my finances after Earl died, one who equated vulnerability with weakness and weakness with failure. So when he heard about the layaway angel, his reaction was complicated. We were all at my house one Sunday for lunch. Denise and the kids, David, my sister Leela. Pot roast, green beans, mashed potatoes, the usual. The kids were showing off their new shoes, racing down the hallway. David frowned. "You get those on sale?" he asked, in that tone that made me want to smack him with the spatula. Denise smiled tightly. "We got 'em," she said. "That's what matters." Leela shot me a look. She knew the layaway story. She also knew David didn't. Yet, we debated whether to tell him. On one hand, it was Denise's story, her blessing. On the other hand, he was family. Family shouldn't be kept in the dark about big things. On the third hand, because life always seems to require more hands than you have, there was the pride factor. Would he judge? Would he scoff? Would he feel threatened by the idea that someone else stepped in where he had? I didn't want that. Neither did Denise. So she'd kept it quiet. Only a few close friends knew, and me. But kids are kids. During dessert, Mia blurted, "Uncle David, guess what? A man paid for our shoes." Mama said he was an angel. The room froze. Denise almost dropped her fork. David blinked. "What?" he asked. "Mine too," Tyler chimed in. "He paid our layaway. We got to pick up all our stuff." Mama cried at the store. Denise flushed. "Baby, why don't you go show Uncle David how fast you can run in those shoes?" she said quickly, trying to redirect. Too late. David's eyes had narrowed. "Somebody paid your layaway?" he asked. "Like one of those news stories," Denise sighed. "Yes," she said. "It's not a big deal. It is a big deal," he cut in. "You had a layaway. You couldn't tell us. You couldn't tell me." His voice had that edge. The one that made my shoulders go up around my ears. Denise bristled. "I didn't want to ask you for money," she said. "Kinda seems like every time I do, it comes with commentary." He flinched. "That's not fair," he he said. I'm trying to be responsible. I worry about you. You're my sister. If you're putting school clothes on layaway and strangers are paying it, that means things are worse than you've been saying. Leela rolled her eyes. Here we go, she muttered under her breath. I shot her a look that said, not helpful. Denise's jaw clenched. So what? She snapped. So I'm supposed to be ashamed that someone helped me. I'm supposed to feel guilty that my kids got blessed. That's not what I said, he retorted. It's what it sounds like, she replied. He threw his hands up. You're twisting my words, he said. Again, I'm just asking why you didn't come to family first instead of some random man. Her eyes flashed. Family, she said. You mean the family that tells me to be more responsible every time I ask for help? Family that acts like I'm a burden instead of a sister who's doing her best. The family that made Mama sit in a lawyer's office and feel like an asset to be divided. That family. Ouch. My stomach flipped. Kids, I said, standing up. Why don't y'all go in the yard and see if the grass is still green? They scampered away, bless their hearts, immune to the tension of grown-up voices. I turned back toward the table. Denise and David glared at each other over the mashed potatoes. This isn't about me not trusting family, Denise said, voice shaken. It's about me being tired of feeling like every time I can't do something alone, I'm confirming some story about myself. What story? He asked. That I'm the messed up one, she shot back. The one who married wrong. The one who can't budget. The one who needs bailouts. The one everybody has to shake their heads over. Silence. David opened his mouth, closed it. Then he turned on me. And you, he said, you knew about this. I sighed. Yes, I said, I did. And you didn't tell me, he asked. Wasn't mine to tell, I replied. Denise asked me not to, I respected that. He shook his head. You're always talking her side, he muttered. I felt my temper flare. That's not what this is, I said. This isn't sides. This is lives. Different ones. You got yours. She's got hers. I'm in the middle trying not to get squashed. He snorted. Feels like I'm the only one who gets called selfish when I don't jump in with my wallet, he said. Nobody called you selfish, Leela said sharply. You did that all by yourself. Leela, I warned. She threw her hands up. What? She said. He needs to hear it. Not everything is about him failing some invisible test. Sometimes a good thing happens, and he makes it about how it makes him look. That's tiring. David's face hardened. I'm done, he said, pushing his chair back. I'm not sitting here while everybody paints me as the villain because I got questions. He grabbed his keys and headed for the door. David, I called, standing. He stopped, back to us. What? He said. I took a breath. Look, I said, I know you worry, I know you care. But right now, this moment, this isn't about you. This is about your sister having one good thing happen in a sea of hard ones. Can you let her have it? He stood there. I watched his shoulders. They rose, fell. Fine, he said finally, without turning around. I'm glad she got her miracle. I just wish it didn't make me feel like I'm failing as a brother. He left. The door shut behind him. The house shook. So did we. Denise looked wrecked. I didn't want it to go like that, she said, voice small. I just wanted to be happy, for once. Without explaining myself. I hugged her. I know, I said. Sometimes other people's insecurities crash the party. Leela snorted. That boy needs therapy, she said. We all do, I replied. We ate cold pie in awkward silence. Later that night, I stood at my kitchen sink, looking out at the dark yard, and thought about the stranger in the ball cap. He didn't sign up for this. He walked into that store, handed over his card, walked out thinking. He just made a few people's lives easier. He had no idea he'd just unearthed a whole layer of shame in my son, or that his kindness would force us to reckon with who we believed deserved help and who didn't. Sometimes mercy hits the ledger and knocks everything else out of balance. And that can feel like chaos before it feels like grace. A few days later, I went to the store myself. Not for layaway, just for groceries. But I couldn't walk past that layaway window without seeing Denise kneeling in front of the tubs, kids squealing over sneakers. The clerk recognized me. "You're the grandma," she said, smiling. "The one who came with the 2 kids and the crying mama." "Guilty," I said. She chuckled. "We've been calling y'all the unicorn backpack family," she said. "That girl hugged that thing like it was gold." I smiled. "She sleeps with it," I said, "thanks to you." "Not me," she said, holding up her hands. "I just push paper. It was that man." I hesitated. "You think he'll ever know?" I asked. "What it meant?" She shrugged. "I hope so," she said. We sent the notes off. Manager said corporate might do some kind of article. But even if they don't, I figure God's got a way of letting people know when they did something right. I leaned on the counter. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Shoot," she replied. "Did he say why?" I asked. "Why he was doing it." She smiled softly. "He said, when I was little, somebody did it for my mama," she said. Said he remembered the way she cried in a cheap coat and how proud she looked carrying those bags. Said he promised himself that if he was ever in a position to do that for somebody else, he would. My throat closed. "So it was payback," I said. "Pay forward, more like," she said. "He said it took him 30 years to get there. That's a long interest-free loan." We laughed. I walked the aisles, putting things in my cart, thinking about that. A kindness from decades ago, still paying dividends in my daughter's life, in my grandkids' shoes, in my son's discomfort, in my own heart. We like to think big moments happen all at once. Sometimes they start when a lady in the 80s gets a phone call saying, "Ma'am, you can come get your layaway. It's been paid." And they ripple out, quiet, until they reach a little girl with a unicorn backpack. You're probably wondering about David. Men like him don't change overnight. He stewed. He sulked. He made a few passive-aggressive comments about handouts at work. I later heard from Leela, who works with a woman whose cousin's friend is in his office. Small towns are efficient like that. But beneath his judgment was something else. Jealousy. Not of the money, of the freedom, of the ability to say, I needed help, and help showed up without feeling like that erased his worth. Men are often told from diapers, you are what you can do. Women hear it too, in different ways. Men, especially Southern men raised by stoic daddies and tired mamas, get it drilled in. Be the provider, be the strong one, don't be a burden. So when someone like David sees his sister get a miracle, part of him cheers. Another part whispers, why not me? Where was that when I was drowning in my own mess? He didn't say that out loud. Not yet. It came out sideways. He stopped by my house one evening a couple weeks later, unannounced. He does that. I was in the backyard, clipping dead flowers off my mum's. He leaned on the fence, watching me. You heard about the layaway angel? He asked, like it was small talk. I snorted. I was there, I said, front row seats. He nodded. Lucky, he said. The way he said it, like he was talking about a lottery ticket. I straightened up. You sound mad, I observed. I'm not mad, he said too quickly. I think about all the times I was struggling with bills, you know. Early on, when the kids were babies. Working third shift, trying to keep the lights on. No angels showed up then. He kicked at a rock. I busted my tail, he continued. I took side jobs. I pawned my guitar. I figured it out. Nobody called me and said, hey, some stranger paid your balance. His voice was bitter. I leaned on my clippers. You sound like the big brother who climbed the hill without help and now resents that someone put stairs in for the younger ones, I said gently. He glared. That's not, he began. Isn't it? I asked. You want Denise to be okay, but you also want credit for what you endured. You want your hard story to be acknowledged. That's fair. What's not fair is thinking her getting help somehow diminishes what you did. He looked away. I don't want her to suffer, he muttered. I want it to feel even. Like we all had to fight the same amount. I sighed. Oh, baby, I said. That's not how life works. Fair doesn't mean everyone gets the same weight. It means everyone gets a chance to put some of it down. He kicked the fence post lightly. It just stings, he admitted. That some stranger did what I didn't, or couldn't, or didn't think I needed to. There it is, I said softly. He frowned. There what is? He asked. Your guilt, I said. You think her layaway got paid, not just by a stranger, but by your absence. You're adding that to your list of ways you failed as a brother. Sweetheart, you gotta stop collecting evidence against yourself like that. He blinked. I'm not, he started. You are, I cut in. You did it with Daddy. You do it with your own kids. You think every time you didn't show up in the exact right way, it goes in some big chart in the sky. And now this man in a ball cap pays $300, and you think God's given him your job. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. How do you do that? He finally said. Read my mind. I don't, I said. I just read your face, and your tone, and your history. You're not that mysterious. He blew out a breath. I know I'm vain, ridiculous, he said. She's thrilled. The kids are thrilled. I should shut up and be thankful with them. Maybe, I said. Or maybe you should let yourself feel what you're feeling, then choose what to do with it. He sank onto the patio chair. What is it I'm feeling? He asked, half sarcastic. I sat across from him. You're feeling jealousy, guilt, relief, shame, love, fear, I said. In other words, you're human. He laughed once. You gonna start charging me by the hour? He asked. I might, I said. I got bills too. We smiled. Then I said something I'd been turning over. You know, I said, that man didn't do something you never could. He just did something you might do later. He frowned. What? He asked. Maybe this is your stair, I said. Not to resent, to climb. Maybe instead of seeing this as proof you failed, you could see it as an example of what's possible. If he can pay strangers layaways, maybe one day, when your feet are on more solid ground, you can do that too. Not as penance, as gratitude for the times you didn't have that, and for this time your sister did. He considered that. You think I'm gonna be some secret donor, he scoffed. I think you already are in small ways, I said. You paid for that boy's soccer cleats when he mama couldn't. You bought Leah a washing machine when hers broke. You think those things don't count 'cause there's no receipt posted on Facebook. But they do. They always have. He swallowed. I don't know why this is hitting me so hard, he admitted. It's just $300. It's not about the amount, I said. It's about what it represented in that moment. For Denise, it was you're not alone. For you, for some reason, it became you weren't enough. That's a lie. We sat in silence a while. Crickets chirped. Breeze moved through the trees. Finally, he said, you talked to her about it. About the layaway? Yes, I said. About your reaction? Not yet, he winced. She hate me, he asked. No, I said. She's hurt. But she also gets that you're carrying your own stuff. He nodded. I should talk to her, he said. Yes, I replied. Without macking it about you being the villain or her being the victim. Just two grown people compare notes on what this stirred up. He rubbed his face. I'll try, he said. At night he called her. They talked for an hour. She told me later he actually listened, Mama. Like really listened. Not just waiting to argue. What changed? I asked. She thought. I think he realized the angel wasn't replacing him, she said. Just joining him. Like you know how a house needs more than one pillar to stand. He's been trying to be all of them. Maybe he gets now he's allowed to be one of many. I smiled. Look at y'all learning metaphors, I said. She laughed. Mama, we learned from the best, she replied. A year later, the layaway angel was old news. The Facebook post had been buried under lost dogs and pothole complaints. The board in the store had been taken down. The clothes had been outgrown. Life had gone on. Denise was doing a little better. Promotion at work, a small raise. The transmission was still holding. Her ex was marginally more cooperative. The kids' feet hadn't stopped growing, but we'd gotten better at finding deals. I was in the store one December, standing in the toy aisle with a cheap doll in one hand and a name from our church's angel tree in the other. Mama June adopting a stranger's kid for Christmas, the way strangers had adopted my grandkids' layaway. It felt right. As I debated between the doll and a puzzle, I heard a laugh behind me, deep, familiar somehow. I turned. A man in a ball cap was talking to the layaway clerk at the back counter. My heart thudded. Could it be? It was about my age, maybe a little younger. Work boots, flannel jacket, clean but not fancy. He had the air of someone who'd done shift work most of his life. I could only catch snippets. Yeah, I know it's late in the season, just do what you can. Start with the smallest ones again. I remember what it meant to Mama. Doesn't need to be a big deal, my chest tightened. I didn't march over. I didn't interrupt. This wasn't my moment. But I did watch as the clerk smiled, nodded, tapped on her keyboard, and as the man slid a card across the counter. It was like watching lightning hit the same tree twice. Part of me wanted to run home and drag Denise to the store so she could see. Part of me wanted to respect his wish for anonymity. I split the difference. I finished my shopping. On my way out, I stopped by the layaway window. The clerk saw me and grinned. "He's back," she whispered before I could ask. "Same guy. Same hat. Same humble," I smiled. "Same heart," I said. She nodded. "I told him," she said quietly, "that one of the mamas from last year came in, left a note saying she got a better job and paid off somebody else's layaway herself last month." He looked like he was gonna cry. "He found out?" I asked. She nodded. "Not who exactly," she said. "Just that it happened." He said, "That's all I wanted, just for it to keep moving." I felt tears prick. "Can you tell him something from me?" Asked. She shrugged. "Depends what," she said. "Tell him," I said, "that somewhere out there's a grandma who watched her daughter drown and saw his kindness hand her a life preserver. Tell him that the kids with the unicorn backpack and the neon laces are okay. Tell him he reminded us we live in a world where strangers show up." She smiled. "I'll do my best," she said. I turned to go. Then I stopped. "Actually," I said, "maybe don't tell him about the unicorn backpack. Might be too specific." We laughed. I left the store with my small bag of toys and a heart that felt bigger. As I walked to my car, I saw him, the man in the cap, loading a single bag of groceries into an old truck. Nothing about him screamed angel. No halo. Just a guy with laugh lines, a bit of a stoop, and hands that looked like they'd fixed a lot of broken things. He caught my eye, nodded. Just a friendly stranger's nod. I nodded back. Part of me wanted to run over, hug him, pour out our whole story. My daughter, the layaway, the car, the shoes, the Facebook post, the argument, the healing, the support group she started for single moms because she wanted to be for others what you were for her. Too much. Not my place. Instead, I just said, "Merry Christmas." He smiled. "You too, ma'am," he said. "Stay warm." He drove off. I got in my own car and sat there a minute, letting the heater blow. Sometimes you don't need a whole conversation. Sometimes a Merry Christmas carries more thank yous than the words thank you ever could. Denise did pay off someone else's layaway. Not a huge one. $100 toward a grandma's balance. She didn't tell many people, just me. We were sitting at my table, drinking coffee, kids at school. "I did something yesterday," she said, a little shy. "What's that?" I asked. She slid a receipt across the table. It said, "Layaway payment received $100 customer. Anonymous." "I went up there," she said, "and I told them I wanted to put $100 towards somebody's layaway. I said, small balance, lots of kid stuff, please." The clerk found one. grandma buying clothes. It wasn't the whole thing, but she said it knocked out half. She's gonna get a call today. Her eyes shone. I wanted to give her that call, she said, to hear her voice. But I liked Bane on the other side of the window. It felt good, not in a smug way. In a finally, I have a little overflow way. My heart swelled. How'd it feel? I asked. She smiled. Like breathing backwards, she said, in a good way. We clinked coffee mugs. I'm proud of you, I said. Not because you paid it back, you could never. Not because you earned what happened, but because you let that gift change you, not into someone ashamed, into someone generous. She shrugged, wiping at her eyes. We talk about generational curses, she said, patterns we don't want. I figure we can have generational blessings too. Maybe this is one. Stranger pays for my layaway. Mama helps me believe I deserve it. I help someone else. Maybe my kids grow up thinking that's normal. It should be, I said. She looked around my little house. You know what I realized, she said. What's that? I asked. When I was a kid, I thought you and Dad were the only ones holding up our roof, she said. Working, paying bills, fixing things. I thought if either of you fell, the house would collapse. This past year, I've started seeing all the hands I didn't notice. Neighbor watching us after school. Church bringing meals when Dad was sick. Friends dropping off bags of clothes. And now this stranger at Layaway. Turns out, there's a whole scaffolding around us we didn't see. I smiled. That's the secret nobody tells you, I said. Houses don't stand 'cause one beam is strong. They stand 'cause somebody braced a weak one once upon a time. She nodded. I want to be that brace, she said. You already are, I replied. Sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, and the only sound is the hum of my old refrigerator, I think about Layaway. Not just the store kind, the life kind. How many things we tuck away on the back shelves of our hearts, tag him with later, promise ourselves we'll take care of him when we can. I'll grieve later. I'll rest later. Tell them I'm sorry later. I'll forgive her later. I'll ask for help later. We make small payments here and there. A little bit of honesty, a little bit of tears, a little bit of swallowing our pride. But the balance still hangs over us. Then, every once in a while, someone walks into our life, and without even knowing the whole story, pays a chunk of that off. With a kind word, with a casserole, with a babysitting offer, with $300 on a screen in a Layaway office. And suddenly, we're told, you can pick up your things. You can walk out of here lighter. Someone covered what you couldn't. We don't stop being who we are. We don't lose all our struggles. But we lose the sense that we're alone in them. That's what that stranger did for my family. He didn't just buy shoes. He reminded my daughter she wasn't a failure. He forced my son to confront his belief that needing help makes you weak. He nudged me into admitting that my old we-do-it-ourselves mantra needed an asterisk. We do it ourselves, with a whole lot of help we don't always see. 200, 300 word closure, emotional wrap-up, life lesson, house family metaphor. If I had to draw my family now, I wouldn't sketch stick figures standing alone. I'd draw a house, not fancy. Little one-story place, saggy couch in the living room, mismatched chairs in the kitchen, squeaky steps on the porch. In my younger years, I thought that house stood 'cause me and my husband hammered it together by sheer will. We worked, we paid, we patched. I thought every board was ours. When the storms came, lost jobs, sickness, funerals, I'd throw my shoulder against the walls and think, if I slip for 1 second, this whole thing's going down. It's a heavy way to live. This past year, standing in that Layaway office and watching my daughter's knees buckle over a stranger's kindness, I started to see something different. From the street, our house looks like it's standing on its own. But step back far enough and you notice the supports. The extra beams somebody nailed in when we weren't looking. A neighbor's porch handing us casseroles. A church pew holding us up when we were too tired to stand. A mechanic given a discount because he remembered my husband. A grocery clerk who told me my son bought a cake. Way in the background, a man in a ball cap at a layaway window, sliding his card across the counter, propping up a whole row of houses he'll never walk into. We like to say, I built this. Truth is, most of us are living in houses framed by more hands than we can count. Sometimes we're the ones nailing the boards. Sometimes we're the ones whose beams are splintering, hopping someone sees. If you ask me, the miracle isn't that a stranger paid my daughter's layaway. Miracle is that, in a world that keeps telling us to stand on your own 2 feet, there are still people quietly standing under somebody else's roof, talking a little wait for a little while. And the bigger miracle, my girl, who used to choke on the very idea of talking help, now walks into that same store every year with a little extra in her pocket and says, start with the smallest balance. Let me hold this house up for somebody, just for a minute. Turns out, the real layaway wasn't just the clothes. It was the kindness, waiting on the back shelf of our story, tagged later. Thanks to one stranger, later came, and our whole house feels different because of it.